Are we ready to roll?
It's going up right now.
And did Laura say she'd be here?
No, Laura cannot make it, and she said she has no report.
Okay.
I have like the light version of Facebook, it might be up on there.
It is.
Okay.
I just
Thank
came
you.
through.
All right.
Good.
Good to go.
Good morning. This is the Kingsburg Downtown Business Improvement District Advisory Board meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 6th, and our meeting start time is 8:02. Those in attendance, Lisa Fargen, June Hess, myself, Leslie Carpenter, Reggie Gerke, Amanda Carrasco, and Peyton Lackey. And the board member missing this morning is Lauren Cooper. All right. Item number 2, we're going to open up to public comment. This is the time when you can share with us if you would like to, if you're in-house. I know public comment. We're going to move on to item number 3, city update from council member Laura North, who was unable to join us this morning. However, she passed along a message that she had no new updates from city council at this time. Item number 4, approve the minutes from the 5/3/23 and the 5/15/23 meetings as presented by city clerk Abigail Valgard.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approved, thank you. Item number 5, reports from board members.
Okay, I've got a report on the Christmas tree downtown to replace all existing Christmas trees plus add 4 more. There's 12 corners within the district that we're proposing to revamp and add to. Would include new trees, new LED lights that would sync to the music. Preliminary, we went online. Leslie was nice enough to also look wholesale for trees. We found some trees through Walmart. You have to order them. And they're spruce, and they're easy to work with as far as the texture of the trees type of thing. Cost of the trees for each corner, that would include a 6.5 foot, a 7.5 foot, and a 9 foot, which is approximately what we have now. It's $370. Lights for each tree, that would be approximately 100 lights per foot type of thing, would be $414. Kind of interesting, lights cost more than the trees do themselves, but anyway. So a total of $784. That includes shipping and sales tax, etc. Extension cords came to my mind because we do use a lot of extension cords. Reggie thinks we have quite a bit, but there's a little bit, as we propose $1,000 per corner for anything else that we might need, and including decorations, which Lauren was going to kind of take over the decoration thing. Number 1, we do not have the, what's the right word for it, Reggie?
Light controllers.
Light controllers for the 4 corners down at the Suncrest Bank, the church, the old Larson's, and Merritt Window. But we would ask the city, since that's a permanent install, they purchased the ones on the I'd be happy to go before city council or ask somebody, I don't know what the right way to do that, to ask if they would install the controllers. Is there any maintenance needed on the existing 8 controllers?
maybe just some minor equipment with the wireless stuff, so $1,000.
total.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would suggest, if this organization is, we can't vote on anything today, but we can vote on it next, but if there's a general consensus that we want to do this, I would suggest personally ordering one set of these trees, and I would pay, I don't mind paying for it, to see the actual condition of the trees. Before we go out and buy, 16 of these things, let's buy one set, get them here in the next month, try putting some lights. We had two options on lights. The last time we did this, we did different colored lights. We have that option to do this year, or this time, or we can go with just white lights and have the white lights just kind of all dance to the music, as long as they're decorated correctly, or it was even Leslie suggested, like red and white lights, or, we can do, that would be a choice that we could make down the line, and we could actually buy, both sets and see how that works. The other thing we discussed, Leslie and I discussed, is finding a place that these trees can remain standing and actually decorate them in another location. And then, a lot of us have small trailers that we can pull behind, leave them standing and come and put them in place, type of thing. Therefore, nobody's on a ladder on uneven dirt and all that. We can be on a ladder on a concrete floor, decorating and all that. With that being said, we thought about the fact, I know that I can speak for the Lions Club. The Lions Club would probably donate, half of what the West America corner would cost, put a $500 and then we can get others to do that. One thing we have to be cognizant of is the bid is paying for it. I'll pick on Gold Standard. Gold Standard sponsored 1 year, but I actually did things that tied in with Gold Standard mortgage, type of thing. If the bid's doing it, it can't be specific to a corner, that whoever donated some money. There can be some signage there. It can be, thanks to the bid and the Kingsburg Lions Club for your donation for this corner, but it can't be decorated to, the pink and white of that, or the pizza slices of Carrasco, because the other neighbors all help contribute to that through the bid, type of thing. So I just think we need to be cognizant of that, so we don't, pick anybody off, to use, formal language.
So the proposal is 12 corners, right? So it's 12,000, is that, okay.
12,000 unless we get some donations,
Okay.
I put a line on that per corner for anything else that would need as far, with the understanding that we may not spend the entire 1,000 per corner. And I think we learned that kind of in our last thing, that we had to come back and ask for, we were gonna have to ask for a little bit of money, so I thought I'd bump us a little bit.
Learning.
up to
Yeah.
$1,000.
That's fair.
So the trees that we have now, I will tell you, we bought more than that, maybe like 8 years ago.
No.
Before,
Anyway.
yeah, and there's only so much life in those things before they start shedding, and they, and the way they're taken down and put away and all that, and we haven't had control of that in the past. There's also a huge entanglement of lights on those.
Some work, some electrocute you.
Yeah,
So,
and, I think that it's time to revamp the entire thing, and I think that it would also, present like a fresh start. Not like they got brand new trees or this, I think it's just a brand new.
All corners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's a huge investment, but it is is one of the things that when people come to town, they're like, Christmas, they're like, wow. Our only sad thing is we don't know how to do the very last corner because of all the concrete.
Right.
You know, that's just, you know, one, and that would be something that would be really cool to do, because we have the Dollar Horse and the signs, but there's just a lot of concrete there. And it's a good walkway for folks too, where all the other trees are, you know, up and out of the way.
Mhm. I like the idea of pre-ordering one to kind of inspect the quality. I like that idea.
Yeah, it scares me.
Yeah.
That these are so cheap.
Yeah.
Me too, I was like, but you know what, here's the other thing I will tell you, that the tree 90% of the time is just a vehicle for everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It'll be
And if
covered
we're
up.
that cheap, that means we can replace them as needed versus we spent a lot of money, let's hang on to them as long as we can.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, when I do commercial work, I will buy just cheap blank trees. These are blank trees, they're not pre-lit,
Perfect.
they're not anything like that. So if I'm gonna do commercial work, I will buy just inexpensive blank trees to work.
We just need to put it on the agenda for next month.
How much room do you think you'll need to store these?
I don't know.
You wanna store them upright, right?
I like to store them upright, we move them, put them on the trailer, we bring them here, we get them straight, we get them clustered, yeah. And whether they're individually covered with some plastic, or whether there's an entire plastic room built within there's different ways. And they actually make 3 bags, but
Mhm.
I think those are more, they're half-assed, they'll fold it up type of thing.
I've got room to do the decorating and fluffing of them, to prep them before we go out. I've got a place we can do that, I just don't have room to store them.
On a year-round basis.
Right.
We, contacted the Boy Scouts who have knowledge, the old barn over here where the
float
the float barn, which said there could be a room to store them in there.
Yeah.
We'd have to talk to them once again, the city, that's owned by the city of Kingsburg.
I think that's where the trees currently are.
Are they? But they're laid down.
Right.
We definitely would have to build a plastic room for them to stay in, because
That place gets really dusty.
It's
It's
really
an old
dusty.
building, so
Mhm.
it doesn't really seal or
which
anything.
doesn't really, I already have it built in my brain, so I think we can do it.
So before it comes as a motion next month, the idea of like getting additional donors, would that be done before we vote? Or would it be done, we would set a budget and then we would fill in with donors? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I think this is my opinion, if we like the idea and all that, we allocate the $12,000, up to $12,000. If we get some donors, then we're not gonna have to spend that kind of money.
Okay, I see what you're saying, okay.
And I think it would be kind of a fun deal for social media to actually, you know, the bid teams up with, you know, the Kingsburg Lions Club, or the bid teams up with to make, you know, for the beautification of Kingsburg. It kind of even gathers a more community type of partnership.
Accept donations back in that way? Go somewhere else.
Like if the bid gets donations, it would
Right.
go into your guys'
They can
revenue
go straight to our
account, yeah.
revenue account, okay.
Yeah, because we've received donations for the tree corners before.
Yeah,
And they write the check to the city of Kingsburg.
Okay.
yeah, they would just code it to go to your
Gotcha,
guys'
okay,
revenue.
just wanted to make sure that was.
Cool.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
I like it.
Is there direction to bring it next month then? as
Yes.
a-
Yeah.
Are you gonna going to order a tree before?
Yeah, you know, one set, trees.
Okay, so do that, and we can have them set up in the next meeting, but we won't meet on July 4th. meeting on July 11th. How's that work for everybody? Do you want to push it to the 18th?
The 11th is the chamber meeting.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Isn't it earlier in the day?
It's at 7,
But it
but
runs
sometimes we
till
go to 9.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, we
It's
don't
the
know.
twilight.
Yeah. No, it's good to know what else is going on.
Sorry,
Which is the chamber, what's the
the
date?
11th.
About like the 5th?
I'll be gone, Steve will be gone.
Okay.
I got it on that week too.
Yeah.
10th, 12th. 6th. Oh, you're on that the whole week.
The 18th. After that gives us time to, I will, yes, I'll be back in town.
Can we do that? Is that too hard on you?
No, I'm taking off 2 weeks before that, so I'll be here
Okay.
in time to post the agenda and be at the meeting on the 18th.
Okay, so we'll order in trees, we'll order in red and white lights, and, we'll go from there on the 18th. So, okay, everybody?
One thing to keep in mind, those controllers have 16 channels on each quarter. You do 16 different lights within that, so as you're planning how you want to light them.
16 plugs that come out of there?
Yep.
8.
Yeah, no, you have 16 to fix. We can and they're programmed with the music. Try to plug them in an order that makes sense.
So if we don't use all those plugs, say we only use 8 of the plugs versus 16, can the other 16 be dead?
Yes.
So that, you know,
I would say based on the way the programming works, don't use anything less than 8. Otherwise you'll have gaps in the sequence.
right, and it seems like we've got some gaps now, once in a while.
Well, that's usually from the lights not working.
So we need to have 8 strings.
I would have 8 individuals. So if you've got 3 trees,
Oh, yeah, okay.
if you got 3 trees, do 3 colors.
I have like 18 strings.
So if we do 20 strings for 400, you know,
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, any other reports from other board members?
Just FYI, Chamber County now has 100,000 subscribers and 36 million views.
Wow. Crazy. I'm gonna recap, line dancing Friday night. Thanks to all that came and helped. I appreciate it a lot, because last week was a crazy week for me. We, came and went, and I wanna publicly thank, Tommy Hensley and, Matthew Woods from, Wildwood Trailers, and Neil Coelho, because he came in and cleaned up the hay. I wanna thank Reggie for getting the hay, and everybody that came out and helped and put up barriers and took down barriers and all kinds of good fun stuff. At any given time, I think we had about 75 dancers out on the street, so it was a good turnout for us, streeties. Everybody was coming down, and they had a good time. I put a lot of kids on the trolley. When people were coming through, I go for a ride in the trolley, and people said, does it cost anything? I said, no, go do it. And so even people that were down here having dinner and just walking around, we put a lot of families on, so we had a lot of families. I thought it was a great thing. I've had a lot of good feedback, from folks that went. Did have a lady drive through our barricade, because she had to have her Chinese food. That was a little scary, but it worked out okay. So, it happens.
That happens every
Yeah, we were kind of like, oh, okay. So, yeah, so, speaking of barricades, when I was in Clovis at Junk Days the other day, City of Clovis, and something to put in your hats, like maybe someday we could be, they have barricades that come up out of the ground.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Can we look into that and see what it would cost us to do that?
We've looked at that for the chamber, the removable elements, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we got a little pushback from the fire department, because then they would have to go and remove those, when the other ones they can just drive over, I guess. But, yeah.
These ones just go down in the ground?
No, they slide in and out, kind of like the ones at the high school.
And,
Ramps.
in Morro Bay, they have ones like that on a pedestrian bridge, and they just completely flattened. When a service person drove by, they just literally drove over the top of them, and we were like shocked, because we thought
It was
that
just
they
some
were,
kind of remote forum or something.
they just flattened, like you could push them over. So, I mean, it's almost a visual barricade, but a car could literally drive over it, and then it popped right back up,
Okay.
yeah. So, I don't know much about it, but we witnessed it, and we were like, wow.
All these ideas sound very expensive. I just wish we could have freshly painted regular barricades. Some of them look well used, like they're over 8 or 9 years old.
They are. And then signs, we really do need to.
That's the other thing too, we need to invest in signs.
The chamber's been looking at buying a few, they're expensive, but we can, split some costs on them, and make them available to both of us. It would be nice to have signs that actually look official. So, I'll put that on my list of things to look at. Anyway.
And even if we like wrote like a checklist of pre-event checklist that we can share. Because, you know, I am a florist, I am not an event planner, but I'm willing to jump in there and do it. So if you guys have that to share,
Yes, we do
that
have
would be
that.
amazing.
And I think the chamber, they contact businesses when the street's gonna be closed down. There were some businesses that had no idea what was going on. And so even though it's approved by the city, because you guys are a part of the city, so if you're a private business, you know, you have to go door to door and have people sign off, so they know what's going on. Just, I think you guys do like a flyer and then an email, like, so you drop it off at each business, so they know upcoming.
We had a conversation within this block with all the folks, and so I thought we had done our due diligence because it didn't affect anybody that way or that way,
Yeah.
but lesson learned.
Yeah.
You know, that we have to tell everybody on every block that this section is going to be
Yeah.
closed.
And so
Or even like a
those
piece of
will get
paper, because there might have been a conversation with someone and then that person's not working that day.
No.
Because it was someone in this area, it wasn't someone complaining elsewhere, so.
The other thing too, I was gonna ask from the city, was it okay that this was blocked off at the alley, that parking in that other half of the block, there weren't any issues or anything like that?
I know the Chinese food restaurant appreciated
Okay.
that being open right there.
We were concerned that people getting in and out there turning around, but I'm
Yeah.
glad it worked out.
You would hear from Daniel or someone if there was any issues.
Okay, good.
That usually works fine when we do the tree lighting.
Okay.
We still have half the block open,
Yeah.
and people
And
figure out how
also
to
for
make U-turns.
pizzas and pancakes,
Yeah.
half a block.
Yeah.
And, you know, speaking of barricades, car drove through the cultural village at Swedish Festival, between the audience and the stage, missed me about by 6 inches. It just kept driving through and scraped the side of the stage as it went through. We don't know how it got in there or what happened. And I don't know where it started and where it ended.
Easy.
It happens.
Free will.
Too much. Yep.
Okay. There also is, coming up for Miss June, there is, you guys have an event coming in Coffee Pot Park, and it's on June 23rd on a Friday night. It's midsummer. I would like to see us as a district just kind of embrace that and encourage people to attend. Anything else we can do? I mean, I would like to kind of like next year, I think we're way behind 8 ball this year, but if like next year, if we could partner with June and learn that and maybe help her build that event.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, so this year, if we can just like, just help, promote it. Alright. I think you guys have one posting on it so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The chamber made an event on Facebook too, if they could share that, yeah.
All right. Anything else on we have?
Yeah, I have it on the, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it or not, but I uploaded it up here also. I don't know, Quinn.
Good morning.
Good morning. There it is. This is just,
You could scroll if you want.
whatever. Yeah, so this is just
little newsletter that I put out. We talk about, sort of like the goals that we have, obviously strategy, implementation, reflection. So you'll find, some of the analytics from social media at the bottom. You'll find some quick tips on composition and how to take better photos. So it's just a little read through. I won't bore you with everything right now, but my goal is to send something like this out every month. And there's a question I have for you guys. If you just want me to send it to the board, or I can send it to that list of emails of all the other bid members too.
That's up to you. I think we kind of got two lists going at the same time, but as I'm adding them, my new report shows their emails. So if you're adding those people to your list, then you're fine doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so on here, we're just talking about strategy, you know, implementation, reflection. I can zoom out. Overall, I'll just talk to you a little bit about the analytics, which are pretty cool. You'll notice, some pretty big percent changes from this past month to the months previous. These are crazy numbers, like over, you know, things have gone up 1,500%, up 2,200% for each. This is just associated with, you know, the months previous to us taking management. The pages were pretty much dormant, so these huge percent increases aren't going to be the norm. But we, you know, hope to continue to take them up.
That one's interesting right there, the 1,567, the spike right at Swedishville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it shows that there is some interest in, you know, when we're actually having an event or to review those photos that went in there.
Definitely, yeah. It seems that, the days leading up to and then on the event itself, we had really peak performance. And then you'll notice sort of differences too between Instagram and Facebook on certain spikes. But, yeah, so this is something to dive into. You can look at the numbers, play with them, or, you know, play with them a little bit. Other points I wanted to hit on are the LinkedIn and Twitter accounts have been created, and we've been uploading to them this past month. But there haven't been much followership gains. So this month I'll be planning on sort of trying to recruit people from our Instagram and Facebook pages to go check out and follow those pages. But what I didn't want to do last month when we didn't have much content is send people and direct them to those pages, and then they go and there's nothing there. Because that's how you can, you know, make some people mad and lose some trust in you. So, yeah, those are sort of the two big things. The other update, the business legacy video, I'm getting some good B-roll for all of that. So for all these events that we've been doing, I've been getting just shooting in a different format that I would typically for social media. So I feel like I want a couple more events to add into that video, but other than that, we're making progress on that. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions or whatnot.
Well, thank you for jumping in and doing that thing for channel. Pretty good count, right?
Yeah,
Last
it seems,
second, thank you.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's sort of a bummer. It didn't end up getting aired because I guess there was some breaking news that night, and so it pushed it out of the way.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Of course.
So like, but hopefully they can use that content for next year. So yeah, I shot it in like like the news format that they like, so hopefully we'll use it. Yeah, that's all I have.
Well, feedback is that it looks great. I think
Yeah.
that the engagement is great, that people are sharing it, it looks really good. And professional, looks
Yeah.
good.
People are really, many people have come in and said, hey, your Instagram, that's looking really good.
Good,
And I was
yeah.
like, yeah.
Get
I
a lot of
like the
feedback we
mix
want.
of, just all overall knowledge, like the very first one I think you did was your family visiting downtown, like how family friendly is downtown, like that didn't highlight any like specific, it wasn't a promotional post, it was just an overall come downtown. And I think I like that.
Yeah.
I like the mix of that along with the next one being the new ice cream alert or whatever. You know,
Right.
like it's like a good balance.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because, and you can read this in the report where I sort of go into, it's the sort of initial consult that I talked about doing with you guys before I took over, so that's in here. Basically, the sort of the three-pronged approach that we're taking is the big emphasis being promoting tourism, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, get people in businesses. But that doesn't have to be just business. The stance we're taking is promoting, so attractions, events, or attractions, culture, individual businesses, and then events. So those are sort of the three big topics that we're hitting, and then you'll see that theme, those three themes sort of posted weekly. And yeah, so hitting it up from all angles. Okay, you can read further into that, so.
You must be doing something right on Facebook, because it actually shows up on my Facebook feed now.
Good.
So actually, before I always had to search for it, it would never show up on my feed. So
Right.
now I'm seeing it regularly.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, yeah. Right now I've set hashtags that I'm using, so I'm trying to see how those are performing, and then I'll tweak those as we go further.
There is one to add that the
Yeah.
Economic Development, Committee created recently when they did all the murals. It's Visit Kingsburg.
Visit
Hashtag
Kingsburg.
Visit Kingsburg.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one.
I'll
Because
annotate that.
that's new.
Yeah, and feel free, like, ideas like that, or events that are coming up, don't hesitate to reach out to me, or if you feel like I'm taking this in a different direction that you guys had planned, give me some rudder steer, I'm completely okay with that. Yeah.
Somebody
Cool, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course.
else. Thank you.
Thanks for getting that
So
in.
we're continuing to the next month then, so.
So further.
I did have one, I was talking to Amy from 5G. We had a charge for GoDaddy, and it was the website security renewal for kingsburgbid.com. So she wanted to know if you guys want to keep that domain for any reason. If not, she could cancel it. The cost is $22 a year plus the certificate. And if not, then she could transfer this plan she thinks that we just paid for to the new website.
Just one domain, that's what I think.
Just one domain.
Yeah.
That-
Did
that's
she
me.
ever agree to meet?
We are all in that same conversation. She was on vacation, and then I was on vacation after that.
Okay.
Did the website get up on the right website?
It is up on the right website, yes. She went through everybody that she could to get it. They had to have a lot of, approval and login and transfer, so it is complete.
Have they updated the missing content for?
They aren't aware of any of the missing content because we haven't had a meeting yet. So unless you've contacted her separately, no.
Well,
Which I don't
several
expect
times,
you to do,
yes,
but,
I have.
yeah.
but-
The other thing was, what about Kim? Kim said that she reached out to the city to ask for a follow-up from the previous meeting.
I told her what happened.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yeah, that you guys voted to not
She left me
continue
a
her
message,
contract.
but I hadn't talked to her yet,
Yeah.
so,
She called
okay,
me
perfect.
several times.
So I
Okay.
let her
I
know.
just wanted to check to see if that had been addressed. Okay, cool.
And then, but she wanted to know where to send her final pictures to.
Same spot,
Okay.
yeah, so that we can, because I gave Quinn access to that, so he's been
Okay.
pulling photos. I saw
Yeah,
the,
where to?
the West America Bank one, so those were her photos.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're still gonna be utilizing it, because we paid for that, so
Yeah.
we'll use that content.
That's all the stuff I signed up on.
Yeah, that was transferring the domain, yeah. So as far as I know, that's all complete.
Good.
And it was a lot of emails, but it got all done, so good job, everybody.
It's been a year and a half.
I have a question, more so, not necessarily about the website, but one of my girls inside the bridal store was asking, she hasn't yet received, I don't know if she's part of the chamber or not, but she hasn't gotten a ribbon cutting, and she was kind of asking, is the bid gonna do anything? Is there something the bid can do? Just because I know we do have a lot of new members in our district, and she's in my store, so I just didn't know how to answer that or what to say, or if that's something tag team on, if we wanna.
My feeling is that we should acknowledge new businesses in our district. However, it is my feeling that the ribbon cutting ceremony is something the chamber has traditionally always done.
Yeah.
I would like to
Every city.
implement like a vinyl Klingon for their or something that we could acknowledge them, you know, thank you for joining the district. Thank you for choosing to put your business within the district. We're here for you with, some kind of information packet for them. I would like to come up with a creative solution so that we can complement Chambers' traditional, opening thing, but let them know that, yeah, we are here.
Like yesterday, Kebab Twist opened, they're in the chamber and they're in the bid, and he did a whole reel, covered the event live and did a recap reel.
And Reggie's speech, he also, or talk, or welcome, he acknowledges the chamber and the bid and the members of the bid that were there. So I think that's a chamber deal. I don't know if the chamber still has a philosophy, you know, I used to ask, "Hey, why didn't we have a ribbon cutting for so-and-so?" And they said, "Well, they're not members of the chamber." And I said, "Well, then they never will be if we don't acknowledge them and do a ribbon cutting." So I think their philosophy has changed. Any new business, you volunteer to do a ribbon cutting, and that shows the value, part of the value of the chamber. And so then hopefully they will join in the future. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We'll do a ribbon cutting for anybody.
Anybody.
That's not an issue. It's more knowing about the business. Obviously, we can see a storefront, we can go in and talk to them, but a lot of the at-home businesses or even the businesses within businesses, we don't know about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what I'm thinking, maybe bid, because we get, like, the city license and the, like, we obviously get kind of dinged when someone comes, I didn't know.
we do get a list from the city regularly of business licenses. And we actively try to track those people down. But
We've been taking them
ultimately,
packets,
yeah.
little bags, welcoming them to the city and stuff. Whenever Abby gives us the information, then the membership side of the, chamber, then, one of us has grabbed it and went into the new businesses and introduced ourselves and, handed them a packet and then offered them ribbon cutting, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, if they were a new business, let's say 6, 8 months ago,
No.
or prior to that, we weren't
No.
aware of them,
No.
most likely. So it's that, not that we're not willing to do one, it's just we're just not aware of it, so.
But have them
Best
call
thing
the
they-
chamber and we'd be happy to do a ribbon cutting, not a problem.
Best thing they can do is contact us, anybody that wants one. Anybody that's been here for 20 years and never got one, we just don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So help us out on that, and we'd be glad to do them.
I like the idea of a packet too, when they join the bid, a little bit of both. Also, how to, we've talked about this too, but just to make it for you, how to update your contact information on our side, you know?
Yeah, a packet would
Like
be
a-
good, because when they come in and they pay, they're like, what
I
is this
think that's
for?
what I was
I like
gonna say.
trying
They
to
have no
explain,
choice.
yeah.
Like, I think it'd
Or
be
even just like,
helpful.
we had what's the word, like a online document where they could enter their information and it puts their social and their point of contact and stuff. I think that would be, then
Maybe that's a
he
part of
knows
our
who to start
pamphlet.
following on from Kingsburg downtown too.
Can you resend that to me, and
Yeah.
I'll just send it to all the BID businesses that I have, because there
Okay.
will be new people in there,
There's quite a few, I think.
so.
I just thought something like physical
Yeah.
would be kind of, like you said, they pay it, so like, hey, what am I doing?
And then a lot of times our annual events are the same time every year, so it's not hard to make a list and have that for them.
You can save the date.
Cool, that was my question.
So would you, like, well, so if I have a certificate from Chamber, saying I'm a member of Chamber, and then you have your business license from the city, and a lot of people have their first dollar that they've made. Do you want, like, I would make it as small, like our logo, a downtown logo. Would you want something like that they could display?
Yeah, we talked about that in the past, getting a
Physical.
quote from Rod for window clings for bid. I know the chamber has window clings, I just got one the other day. So anything that's like a visual display is.
And it's up to them whether they wanna put it up or not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's no to you. Anyway,
I think even just something like in a 5x7 frame, like with our logo, like proud bid.
We've done that with our chamber plaques. They're just now a framed certificate that we print out and
Yeah.
update as needed. Because plaques just get really expensive really fast, and it feels like it's kind of a waste of the members' money if you spend most of their membership
Yeah.
dues on their plaque.
So, anyway, that'd be something to kind of brainstorm too.
the homework to look into welcome pack.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve, for going to that opening yesterday. I didn't know they were doing that, otherwise I would have showed up.
Go watch the recap video, it's really good.
I know,
Most of you guys are in it, yeah.
Yeah, it was really good, it was, awesome.
There was a good attendance.
The other was.
Wonderful.
Really good.
That's awesome.
I know, one thing about not knowing about things. The Chamber's website is, hopefully will be done by the end of this month, the new one, and it'll have master calendar on there, that anybody can submit anything they want on there, if they have something they wanna add to it. So we'll obviously have city events, like master chamber calendar with all the chamber events, ribbon cuttings, mixers, all that kind of stuff. We can throw bid-related events on that one too, because it's related. And then we'll have another just basically community calendar. Anybody can post things on that's relevant to commerce in Kingsburg. Not garage sales, but, you know.
When's your next, street eats?
It'll be October. Yeah, I don't think we have one again until October. Odd.
Home game that night, have a lot to do, I think when we talked about it before, it's a home football game that night.
In October, the first Friday, that probably is.
Yeah.
Probably.
I know we were packed at the park.
Yeah.
All kinds of people going back and forth, people asking what was going downtown, or going on downtown, and I was pushing them that direction, saying,
There was
eat
a lot of
and get
people
down there.
downtown.
It was a good turnout for everybody.
Yeah.
We were at a graduation event, so it was a good turnout for the time of
Good
year.
turnout, even though it's the
Yeah.
first weekend of graduation and
Yeah.
people, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
and you know what, honestly, I don't think we would have wanted any more people than what we had.
No,
First
it would
time out,
have been.
Well,
Well, 'cause right at 7, it was like, the street was like packed, and like everyone's sitting along Course Route, like waiting right there. I don't think we physically could have
Mm-mm.
fit more. I think right when it started, people kind of tapered off as she started going, but I think right at the beginning, there was at least 100 people standing there, like, ready to go. Yeah, I was like, oh man.
Big deal.
So that's kind of a side story.
Yeah.
Kind of I guess, a win for Kingsburg and some of the things that we do. So Kebab Twist officially opened yesterday downtown, and I was talking to them about why they chose to come to Kingsburg. And their story was they didn't really know about Kingsburg, but they were part of the Street Eats setup and came to a couple of Street Eats events, came to a couple of chamber events as a result of Street Eats, and they really just fell in love with Kingsburg and decided to open a brick and mortar store here. So I think that's a win for grabbing all those outside entities and including them in what we do. Because there we go, we ended up with another business in town and another family that's gonna call it home. So
Yeah.
I think that was a huge win for everybody in that situation.
Okay, any other reports? Any other item number 6, other business?
A lady from Fresno was in my store this past week, or last week, and she said when her daughter turned 17, they live in Fresno. She says, what do you want to do for your birthday? She says, I want to go to Kingsburg. A 17-year-old wanting to go to Kingsburg.
I mean, we're great.
Okay, so we're gonna adjourn, and our next meeting will be July 11th, 18th, excuse me. July